All right. So as Tim said, thank you and welcome to our District 6 community update. The purpose of this meeting is to really there's a lot happening in District 6, so we wanted to bring it all together and just give a comprehensive, or as comprehensive as we can at this time, update to the full community just on what projects BCRP is working on, and just to share just a little bit about how we operate and how we can, so that the community is aware and we can work together in a more collaborative fashion moving forward to get things done in District 6. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to Mr. Tony Savage, who's going to just share a little bit about what the Community Engagement and Strategic Partnership team is about.
Good evening, everyone, and once again, thank you all for being with us tonight. In 2019, Baltimore City Recreation and Parks introduced our Community Engagement and Strategic Partnership team. This division was established with the following goals in mind: improve communication and transparency between Baltimore City Recs and Parks and the community, increase and efficiently utilize resources and talents available for shared goals of Baltimore City Recs and Parks, as well as the community. At this time, I'd like to just briefly, and Tim did it earlier, introduce our team. We have our chief, as he said, Tim Albiger, he's the chief of the Community Engagement and Strategic Partnerships, as well as our director, Mr. Lindsay Jackson, who you'll be hearing from later on in the program, as well as Shanice Barnett, who's our community liaison for Districts 4, 5, and 6, who is our honored host tonight. We also have Mr. Earl Johnson, who's a community liaison, as well as our volunteer manager. Earl also has Council Districts 2, 3, 11, and 14. Ms. Jenny Morgan, our legislative liaison, you'll also be hearing from her shortly. Also, Ms. Felicia Jones, our grant development manager, you'll also be hearing from her a little later on in the program. And last but not least, myself, Tony Savage, and I have districts 7, 8, 9, and 10. So without further ado, I'll ask Earl, would you mind talking just briefly about the volunteerism program?
No problem. Thank you, Tony. Good evening, everyone. My name is I am a community liaison, but also play a volunteer coordinator on TV, kind of. Well, I'm the real volunteer coordinator. BCRP has a large job, and we can't do that job without the residents of Baltimore City. An individual who gives his time freely to his community, that's just like the ultimate selfless act. So as the volunteer coordinator, it's my job to not only seek out organizations and people to come help us with our mission, but to help facilitate residents like yourself to do the mission that you want to see in the park. Some of those things are like cleanups, planting trees, planting gardens. There are even groups who encourage people to use our parks and to come to our programs. Whatever it is that you would like to do in the park that's on a volunteer basis, you can reach out to me. We have equipment that you can use, that you can borrow. I can help facilitate more equipment from our park managers. We have trash bags. We have a wealth of experience within our agency to help you plan your events if you need us. And during COVID, it's been kind of difficult, but there are still some groups still doing volunteer projects in the park. And it's my job to also make sure that you're doing it safely. Nothing is worth a life, but I also understand that a lot of people have been cooped up in the house. They really, really want to get out. They really want to participate in their parks, and I can help you do that safely. We have COVID waivers. I've had training with COVID. I would love to be there at your events to make sure that you're doing it safely, and so that we can all just enjoy our parks and be outside in our parks, on our trails, enjoying ourselves. If you ever have any questions about volunteer projects, if you need volunteers, If you want me to help you connect you with organizations, please feel free to reach out to me on my email, call me. I'm always available.
Are we taking questions now? I have a question for Mr. Earl.
So if you could, I'm sorry, I apologize. If you could hold your questions until after everyone has shared, because something might be answered during the presentation. And also we just want to make sure that we are able to share from each division as quickly as possible, but also efficiently. So, thank
Okay,
you.
well, it's specifically for him, but I'll wait.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Next, we'll have Ms. Jenny Morgan, our legislative liaison. Ms. Morgan?
Hi, I'm Jenny Morgan. I'm the legislative liaison for Recreation and Parks. I work with City Council. Sorry, my dog is making noise. I work with City Council and the members of the state legislature who are responding to constituent inquiries. And then I try to facilitate the communications between them and the various divisions in the agency. Like if I get a call about some lights out from a constituent and a council person, figure out if it's us or BG&E, and then try to coordinate that and then get back with a response. For the council and the state legislators, we also work with the Mayor's Office of Government Relations to help monitor legislation that's relevant to the agency. I'm so sorry about this noise. That we also introduce and track any capital development projects that require planning commission approvals prior to submission to the council or the state. This year, we are also working to facilitate the agency's legislative agenda. We also work with the South Baltimore Gateway Partnership that doesn't directly affect the members of the 6th district, but there's some borderline projects that we coordinate, and we review project proposals from various divisions and work with those community groups that are seeking funding. That's it for me, Tony.
Thank you. I do want to just say too, if you have a question and you want to put it in the chat box, that also works. So at the end of the presentation, there'll be a few things. One, we're going to ask that everyone use the hand raise feature at the end if they want to ask a question, so we can make sure everybody has their question answered in the order in which they raise their hand. And also, if you want to put it in the chat box, we're going to go through the chat box to answer questions as well. So thank you for holding questions or putting them in the chat box.
Shawnice, you can take it from here.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and so now we're going to go ahead and move into the Rec Center staff, and we have Ms. Kendra Moore and I believe Ms. Felicia Doucette on the line to share with you all about what's happening in rec centers and on the rec side.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm scanning to see if I see Felicia Doucette. I do not, but I will go ahead. This district is comprised of the rec centers that are within this district are Towanda, JD Gross, and CC Jackson. And I do see Mr. Cliff Slater, who's on the line, who's the center director for JD Gross. Brenda Williams is the center director for CC Jackson, and Towanda is still under construction. For both CC Jackson and JD Gross, we will be hosting summer camp there. If you are not familiar as into where we are right now in our processes of reopening, we will reopen spaces come April 5th with limited programming in which you would have to pre-register for the programming. Such program, I was pulling it together, but I can, at the end, I'll allow Mr. Cliff to just say about 2 or 3 programs in which he will be offering this season. And we're actually taking a different approach with summer this year. We kind of scanned across the division just to look to see how could we offer more Last summer, if you are aware, we offered Summer Fun, and that was an outdoor camp solely, and it was at limited locations. This year, all of our facilities will have some type of camp, whether it is an outdoor-based camp or a camp that will travel. So for these facilities in this district, CC Jackson will be a camp that travels, and JD Gross will be a camp that will be outdoors. Towanda right now is slated to reopen sometime midsummer. I'm hoping that we would be able to come back to you all and update you on some of the things that we're working on for Towanda. Right now, a center director has not been hired, but when they do, would love to just introduce them to the community. Mr. Cliff, would you want to share 2 or 3 programs that you're offering at JD Gross, that you intend to offer at JD Gross?
Okay, can you hear me pretty okay? I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, at the current, we're programming a very soft open until we get further notice for city, far as coronavirus is concerned. We're going to be offering, have to get our seniors back, doing something, get them motivated, get them walking. So our senior program will be opening back up and allowing them to first come in for bingo, painting, and also some nature walks over at Edgecombe Park. For the younger adults, we're also going to be offering a computer one-on-one, teaching the children how to get more in depth and more intuitive with the computer for beginners, also for seniors, and also one of the other programs we're going to be doing, we'll be doing I'm actually just putting them in today. We'll be doing a family fitness. We're definitely trying to get everybody, this family fitness program, what I'm really excited about. We get the whole family coming in, doing a whole chart for the complete family. So mother, child, father, all can join in and do a fitness program together. Something very easy in life. Thank you.
All right, Kendra, just checking. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I was actually looking for our sheet from yesterday, but I'll wait. I'll be on the call. So
Okay, alrighty. So we can come back to it toward the end. Okay, so we're gonna move now to park maintenance team, and we have Mr. Ron Rudisil on the line just to share with you all some updates about park maintenance.
Yeah, I was looking at scrolling through to see if Ed was on here too, but I'll get started. He may jump on. But good evening, everyone. My name is Ronald Rudisil. I'm the new Chief of Park Maintenance for Baltimore City Rec and Parks. So currently, we're responsible for 262 parks throughout the city, 170 athletic fields, 120 plus playgrounds, 25 plus miles of hike and biking trails, 18 picnic groves, 12 plus pavilion groves in the city. So pretty much what we do is all the maintenance in the parks, and that includes your lighting, your walking paths, your trails, your trash pickup, your trash removal, your playgrounds, mulching the playgrounds, all your athletic fields, your football, soccer, baseball, softball, your tennis courts, your basketball courts. We do all the maintenance to all these facilities. So I'm the person that you call and yell at if something's not right in the park in your neighborhood. So that's pretty much all I have right now.
Alrighty, so Ron, there might be questions about parks in the district, so we'll just move on and come back if we need to during question and answer. Okay. Alrighty, And so now with that, we're going to circle back to a component of our community engagement team. We're circling back to our community engagement team to talk about a component of our work that deals specifically with parks and outdoor spaces that Recreation and Parks maintains. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Felicia Jones and Mr. Lindsay Jackson to talk about the Friends groups and the Park and Play grant. And then we have a little, just some questions that we would like for you all to answer to give us some feedback. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lindsay Jackson, and I have the privilege of working with Sharnice, your great community liaison. So some folks may be asking, what is a Friends group? A Friends group is a community-based volunteer group that is officially affiliated with BCRP, the Department of Recreation and Parks. A Friends group agrees to holistically plan and recruit resources to support the city in its effort to maintain and program the park. Friends groups are essential to the health, cleanliness, and are a vital resource to city parks. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Ms. Felicia to talk about the Park and Play grant.
I gotta unmute. Good evening, everybody. I'm Felicia Jones, and I'm the Grant Development Manager / Specialist for Baltimore City Recreation and Parks. One of my roles is that I coordinate the Park and Play Grant Program. The Park and Play Grant Program supports Friends groups working to care for public parks, community gardens, and natural areas under the jurisdiction of Baltimore City Department of Recreation and Parks. This year, we put out about a week or so ago notice that we are accepting applications for this fiscal year. To apply for a Park and Play grant, you must be a registered Friends group. The grants range this year from $500 to $5,000. As well as being a registered Friends group, you must be an established either 501c3 or have a fiscal sponsoring agency that's a 501c3, must be in good standing with the Maryland Department of Assessment and Taxation. I know you guys are saying, okay, yeah, that's cool, but what is a Park and Play grant? The Park and Play grant can fund things such as, now this is not a limitation of what it can fund, so if you have any questions, be free to ask afterwards, but Park and Play grants fund things like community gardens, volunteer pickups, outreach, community outreach events, activities that promote athleticism and outdoor play in parks, supplies, tools, and equipments that support projects that are approved for Park and Play grants. What Park and Play grants will not fund are the administrative expenses or general operating costs for your organization. Park and Play grants for this year, we're accepting applications up until March 19th. So you have about a week and a half to complete the application. The application can be found by Googling Baltimore City Recreations and Parks, Park and Play, or you can email me at felicia.jones@baltimorecity.gov, and perhaps we can put the link, I'm not sure, in the comment sections that you can directly link to where you can apply. You can, download the application from our website.
Yes. So Felicia, I will get the link, or if one of our team members can put the link in the chat box, that would be great, but it'll be there before the end of the evening.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. And with that, so we just wanted to make sure, so Recreation and Parks is trying to make sure that we're being more equitable and holistic about how we approach friends groups. We understand that there are a lot of parks in the city that need TLC, and we know that we can't do it all by ourselves. So we're trying to find the best way to do such. So we have a couple of questions that we'd like for you all to just put your responses in the chat box if you can. So for number one, is there a friends group in your community? Yes, no, or I don't know. And this is just a one, you could just put it simply in a chat box. If you don't know, just say you don't know. So is there a friends group in your community? Okay. All right. Question 2. And for this question, where you can raise your hand. So I'm going to ask Tony and Jenny to monitor the raise hand feature to unmute and respond to this one. How do you feel you can help BCRP carry out its mission as a community member? So how do you feel that you can help Recreation and Parks carry out its mission as a community member? Please use the hand raise feature, and Jenny and Tony will let you know in the order that you raise your hand when to unmute to respond. Okay. Okay, Ms. Deborah?
Ms. Walford?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Debbie.
The question was, how can I be an assistant with Parks and Recs? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first I need to know more about the Friends group, because this is the first time I've heard about it. So let's start with that.
Okay.
And because I like the fact that it's a holistic approach. It's just not one format, but it's a holistic approach. So I guess for me, that would be the start. You know, what is the Friends group and how I can become part of that?
Thank you for that. And you will know more about the Friends group, which is why we wanted to make sure we had a place on this agenda to talk about that, so that we can at least get you started with knowing that it exists, and then we can go deeper with getting you that information as a community member. Does anyone else want to respond to that? How can you help BCRP with its mission as a community member? Oh, I don't know if anybody else is raising a hand.
They're not.
Okay, so then there's another question, and this one is, can you also put these responses, this is a chat box response. What are the barriers that community members face when trying to help our agency carry out its mission? Is it capacity? Is it funding? Is it volunteer organizing? Is it organizing a board? Or is it something else? So what are your barriers to actually helping our agency? And you can put your responses in the chat box. All right. And so while you're putting responses in the chat box for that, I am going to turn it over. Eric from our forestry team is here to share. And Eric, I will go ahead and share my screen so that I can get your document up.
That's great. Let me know if you have any problem getting it up, Sharnice.
Okay, I should be okay.
I might be able to, if not. Hi, everybody. I'm not that new. Been around 10 years here in Baltimore as far as being the city arborist. Some of you might know me. And I'm going to just take a real brief period of time and tell you a few things about our urban forestry program, which does fall under Recreation and Parks, falls in our Parks Bureau, now aptly being run by Ed Wheeling, and we welcome Ed as our new deputy director again for the park system. But just to refresh your memory, forestry has citywide responsibility. Whatever you can do to make that screen larger when you share it, Sharnice, so people can see it. There you go. So it's a one-pager. I'll go through it in a sec, but basically urban forestry, we're responsible for all the trees in Baltimore, all the public trees, and that's probably over 1 million trees in our forested land and in parks land. We have 125,000 trees just along our city streets. And then we have probably 25,000 trees or so in our developed parkland. But it's not just about taking care of trees, although that is job one, and providing customer service to the constituents and to your district. And I'm looking forward to any questions you might have on this at the end. We usually do get some questions on when are you going to get to my tree and when can you prune it, or, I have a dead tree, stuff like that. So let's go through some of the main points of the urban forestry program, and I'll have a point of contact for you in every case. So we handle service requests through the 311 operator system, also called SRs. They vary from 6,000 to 10,000 per year. So we have a small team of inspectors that take each of your requests and go out and make an inspection of the tree to determine what kind of work, if any, needs to be done on it. With so many requests, as you can imagine, we have a bit of a backlog. We have to go with the resources we have available. So we're constantly prioritizing the work. And generally we go oldest to newest. So the oldest service request that's in the service request 311 operator system, whether it's the tree to be pruned or removed, or we need to grind a stump, that's the order we go in. With that said, we also have a team of people that have the ability to assign a risk level to the tree. We have special trained people for that. And if it's a very high risk tree and an imminent hazard, of course, we will prioritize that work. On occasion, City Council and the Mayor's office will contact us to see what we can do about a specific tree. And of course, we do our best to fit that need and prioritize the work whenever we can. But we generally like to take the oldest request, go to the newest. We have a fantastic general foreman. He's not the guy you call every time. He'll look for your request in the 311 operator system, but his name is Andre Heidelberg. And if you ever need to reach out to Andre on a specific concern or request, you can always send it to me. I don't have my email address on there, but I should have put it on. You can always reach out to me and I'll leave you that information. You can also go to the Recreation and Parks website, and my information is on the website also. Anyway, Andre Heidelberg is our general foreman, and he takes care of assigning work to our in-house crews and to a good portion of our contracted crews. And we have quite a few of those. So we have a tree planting program. It's called the Tree Baltimore Program, not to be confused with the Baltimore Tree Trust or Urban or Blue Water Baltimore or Parks and People Foundation. All those are great programs, but those are nonprofits that feed into the Tree Baltimore program. The Tree Baltimore program is the city's program. It is a government city program. It is the program for Baltimore for the coordination of all tree planting and the care as far as promoting young trees and their health for all trees in the city. So as I said, we have both in-house, which is usually contracted planting, and we have partnerships with nonprofits, with non-NGOs. We plant about 8,000 trees annually between our partners and ourselves. These are the big city street trees, the big 400 or 500 pound trees with the big root balls you see being planted along the street. We also give away to residents. Anybody can ask for a tree and we'll be glad to deliver them to your place, especially now with COVID-19. As the city begins to open up again, we are often present at farmers markets, sometimes at town hall events, and in front of supermarkets, and we give away the trees for free. It's part of the city's taxpayer dollar that I think is very well spent. These are for residents who want to plant a tree in their own front or backyard, maybe put it in a planter on their deck. Charlie Murphy runs the program. He is Mr. Tree Baltimore, and he's a good gentleman to contact if you have any questions about the Tree Baltimore program or have concerns about it. So we also provide stewardship opportunities in the form of volunteers, which I know other folks can talk about that tonight, so we often tie in with the Friends group. The two main stewardship programs we have are the Tree Keepers, where people can volunteer to be trained and learn the basics of tree care and a little bit about the biology behind trees and how to prune them and how to keep them looking good and how to plant trees and maybe coordinate a planting in your own neighborhood. A certification program, it takes 2-3 classes, including some outdoor training. And then every year we have a little party and we give out some good t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hats and things like that as you become a tree keeper. Comparable program is Weed Warriors. Now, Weed Warriors focuses on our parks, particularly on our forested areas, where a very big problem across the United States, and Baltimore is getting to be at the forefront in recognizing this problem, is that we have invasive vegetation, different kinds of invasive species that come in and they choke out our native tree plants, our native trees, and it can actually decrease the canopy cover and the health of Baltimore City's tree population. So we have a comparable certification training program as a Weed Warriors, where after the Weed Warriors train, he or she can go on to lead groups on Weed Warrior events. We have them in parks throughout the city. I think we have one that's in the district coming up here in a little bit. I had a note on that. I can give you more information. Ted Martello is a good point of contact for the Tree Keepers program. He also does, by the way, forest bathing. You've been hearing a little bit about that in the news recently, where he takes you out into a nice contemplative part of the woods and kind of breathe in the air and kind of let the stresses just melt away from you and kind of walk through the forested lands that we're so privileged to have here in Baltimore. Ashley Bowers and Megan Carr, they do a lot of things, but one of the things they do is they run our Weed Warriors program also. So in the last 3-4 years, a real challenge to the department has been to protect our natural areas. So much to the credit of the mayor's office and to Director Moore, we are focusing much closer on construction projects that take place in our forested areas, whether it's in Chinkapin Run or a gas line running through Gwynns Falls Leakin Park, or underground utilities coming in, or something that could be in Herring Run Park or Druid Hill, or anywhere. And we monitor them closely, make sure that the projects meet the our stringent requirements to protect our existing forested land whenever possible and minimize damage in our forests. So it's an important part of what we do. We hired a gentleman to help coordinate that just recently. His name is Matthew Rescott. So there's a point of contact. And again, Ashley Bowers is another great point of contact. She is the department's, and possibly one of the only in the city, she's an environmental policy analyst. And so she does a lot of good work for the department. All right, Camp Small Zero Wood Waste Facility. Now that's a handful. A lot of you may know this, you may not. There's what used to be called a wood dump, right? It's off at the on Cold Spring Lane, right there at I-83. If you drive back into the gravel road right at that intersection, just on the west side of I-83, but off Cold Spring, you'll come to a huge long canyon lands of logs piled high to the 15, 20 foot high. We're creating wood chips. We're selling the wood and keeping the profits for the city. We're providing interesting pieces of wood for local artists. We've actually used the wood to help turn into lumber for some of our recreation centers. I think one that's going to be open shortly will be the Cahill Recreation Center. And we are able to save the city a considerable amount of money by taking what was in the past trees we would just throw away, old tree trunks, branches, brush, and marketing them. We have an innovation loan recently from the city to expand this program. It's nationally recognized, and I'm proud to say Baltimore City is one of the few cities in the country that have such an extensive program. And we have other city foresters from around the country come to visit us to learn what Baltimore is doing to have this zero waste facility. So we're very proud of that. It's run by a gentleman named Sean Preston, and he's a good point of contact. Should you wish to come out, and at minimal cost, in some cases it can be free, we can load you up with mulch and chips, tree trunk pieces, little short stumps, things like that, if people want them for sitting on, like in play areas, what have you. Here's an interesting program we have. It's the citywide tree inventory. I don't know if you're aware of this. You can go on our Baltimore City Recreation and Park site, or even easier, just Google Baltimore tree inventory. I just did it a few minutes ago, and you will have an inventory of the entire city, all trees. We had a budget enhancement here about 4 or 5 years ago to put this inventory together. And wherever you live, you can bring up this interactive map, click on or type in your address or zoom in on your neighborhood, and you can see exactly all the trees planted along your street, what the species is, how big they are. We use it in all sorts of other information, where there are potential planting sites. Is there a missing spot where there is no tree planted there? It's all in the inventory, and we use it as a tool constantly for helping to prioritize our work. So for example, if we want to target the trees in your district that are most in need of pruning or are in poor health and perhaps need to be removed, we can prioritize that work by going to our tree inventory. Nathan Randolph is our GIS specialist, and he does a great job running that program. So Nathan is, he's our techie whiz, technical guy. He can answer any questions or concerns you may have about the inventory or how we use it. Last but not least, we have a program that we haven't talked a lot about because it's a great program, but we want to be careful how judiciously we spread it throughout the city. So it's called the Proactive Neighborhood Tree Maintenance Program. And what it is we don't wait for a service request. We don't wait for the tree to go bad and die or be dropping big limbs. And so neighborhood by neighborhood, based on the resources we have available, we go to that neighborhood and we prune every tree in the neighborhood, remove any ones that are dead or dying or in poor health. And so what we want to do ultimately is rotate on a proactive basis throughout the city, all neighborhoods, all whatever we have, 250, 260 neighborhoods in Baltimore. Right now, we're doing anywhere from 12 to 15 neighborhoods per year. We prune all the trees. We take care of any service requests at the same time. And what this does is saves money for the city. It's much better to prune a tree ahead of time than come down in the middle of a hurricane at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're spending $5,000 an hour for emergency tree companies to come in. So it's a way of saving money for the taxpayer. And it also, we have found the proof is in the pudding. It has radically decreased the amount of service requests we get in any particular neighborhood that has had this proactive pruning take place. I'm proud to say since one of the major marching orders we have from the administration and internally here in Recreation and Parks is to look at what we do through a lens of equity, an equity lens, so to speak. And we've been looking at what we've been doing as far as the neighborhoods we picked, and it's a remarkable correlation. It's a little bit alarming, actually, how the correlation. What we have found is that the neighborhoods that have a high percentage of minorities, African American, Latinos, or have a very low per capita income, those tend to be the neighborhoods that have the most trees in the poorest condition. I'm sorry to say, but on the other hand, those are the neighborhoods that we are targeting. And so it works out to making improvements to the trees that most need it, and at the same time, providing some equity to underserved neighborhoods. That program is run by our contract administrator. Her name is Christy Angstead. And Christy also helps with the Violence Reduction Initiative, where we go to transformation areas and BRI neighborhoods, where we will prune trees and work with the police department to ensure that cameras have good angles, can look for drug dealings down on the corner or what have you, clearing for street lights, better visibility, clearing for stoplights. Christy helps coordinate all those programs. And that's it. It's a pretty broad look at what we do in recreation and forestry. And thank you to everybody and their patience that you show us when you do send us requests. And we do our best to get to every request as quickly as possible. We have a really good team of people working in forestry, and I guarantee you the taxpayer gets their good dollars worth from everybody in forestry and all the hard work they do. So thank you, Sharnice. You might be muted. Oh, there you
Yes,
go.
I am. Sorry about that. Thank you, Eric, for sharing that. We want to go ahead and move down to, we're going to now hear from our special events team. We have Delaney Kate, who is going to just share with you all a little bit about how community members can go about hosting events in the community, and also what they have planned in light of COVID.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Sharnice. So my name is Delaney Kate. I am one of 2 special event managers for Baltimore City Rec and Parks. Myself and David Mitchell. Our division is the special event and permits division. So if you've ever needed a permit for a pavilion or a gardening space, or you wanted to put on a family reunion, or maybe something bigger like a event with your whole neighborhood and wanted to include some lawn games and whatnot, that would be going through us. So without further ado, I guess just before I get into this PowerPoint that kind of goes over some more permit stuff, it's during COVID, we are really looking at things that we can either do distanced in cohorts outside if we get to that point, or something that could be easily switched to a virtual format. So we've got some fun things like, for example, we're still waiting on the budget aspects, but we'd like to have a Earth Day virtual shoebox event. And that's just like, if you go to our website and saw the one for Martin Luther King, it's the same type of thing. And it was really cute, so we want to do another one. Possibly some talks with local artists, things like that, writing workshops, and then moving on down to some of our larger events like AFRAM, which is going to be virtual this year. And we're planning on having some takeaway kits, some virtual tours that you can maybe go along on your own throughout the city and interact with other Black-owned businesses and artists. So yeah, that's just kind of like in a nutshell, some of the things we're thinking about. Yeah, and let me share my screen so we can see this PowerPoint. Uh-oh, here, wait.
In the meantime, while Delaney's pulling up the PowerPoint, I just wanted to jump in. Again, my name is David Mitchell, and I'm on the special events team. Hello, everyone. It's really important moving into this new year that our special events team connects with the neighborhoods throughout Baltimore and really understands what the needs are before we bring programming to your neighborhood. So we are really excited to be a part of this conversation and the conversations to come. Thank you for Sharnice for inviting us. And we really are looking for your feedback about what works and what doesn't work in your neighborhood so that we program properly.
All right, I think I'm getting it. If oh, this I think. Can you see anything?
No, we can't see Delaney.
Oh wait, here. Well, is there a way I can like upload it, or maybe Sharnice, can I send it to you?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to like talk through it, or is it visual?
I can talk through it. I mean, I just had the visual aid. All right, so special event division. So in a nutshell, like I was saying, we're responsible for vetting the overall purpose, function, and logistical efforts for public-facing events to make sure that there's the level of quality, diversity, and success for all events that either BCRP hosts or our friends groups that are working with us. Definitely want to hit that equity and overall vision and mission. So like I said, we work with other city agencies and divisions as well, often interfacing with DOT, the health department, etc. So general event versus a special event. So a general event is going to be private. So that's more like your family reunion, while special events have to be open to the public. And that could be like more of a parade, block party, 5K race. Private events cannot be more than 250 people. So the rules vary between parks. We've got higher visibility parks, like Druid Hill is a high visibility park, the Inner Harbor. Then you got your larger parks and then your smaller neighborhood parks. So there's going to be different capacities, different fee structures, things like that. So DOT events versus BCRP special events. So when we go to DOT, it means that your event is public facing. It's going to have noise amplified. You might have a road closure. You might have a petting zoo. You might be selling alcohol, things like that. So that's like when DOT gets involved. For smaller things, it would be like just through us, and then we would interface with our other divisions in our agency to make sure that that event is good to go. And then things like rhythms and reels would be the only thing that you wouldn't have to go through DOT through if you're partnering with us. And just in case no one knows, Rhythms and Reels is a big concert movie series that we hold during summer. So it's pop-up concerts and movies in the park. Which we are also planning on holding this year, but probably more of a drive-in structure. So other circumstances that might lead you to apply through DOT special events is needing city services. So you can, through that application, ask for help removing trash, renting a stage, pop-up tents. If you need approval for our health department, from the fire department, things like that. So it's like if you're inviting food trucks or if you're planning on serving food yourself, you're going to need to pull a food permit. Instances where you might need the fire department is if you're putting up a really large tent that's over 400 square feet, you have to get that inspected. Right. So, and of course, if you're serving alcohol or selling alcohol at those larger events, it does need to go through the police department because they do need to provide some security. Other reasons would be needing overnight setup. That's going to need some special circumstances. So all these applications you can find on our website. So you've got like the general permit applications, wedding applications, because we do have special locations that we host weddings. And we do offer a little bit of wedding coordination actually through our office. Right. All right. So what can our special events team provide you for your next planning and execution of the park event? So what we can do is, answer some questions and help you navigate like what permits you might need connected to that big special event permit. What kind of city services might be available to you. Advise on social media platforms that might be best for your event. Maybe it's just a Facebook event page. Maybe Eventbrite's better for you, could potentially connect you with some food trucks or just at least how to navigate getting a food truck where you need it. Yeah, so we do have some items available for rental. So we do have a mobile stage. It's different than the DOT stages you might have seen. Those are more like big platform stages. Ours is the one with the big roof on top that lifts. If you've ever been to WTMD First Thursday, that's one of our stages. We also have a large LED screen that you can rent from us. And we do have some capabilities of rental for our large blow up screens and projector. But that would have to also be included with some staffing charges. And if you're interested in partnering with us for an event, that event has to be mutually beneficial. So it's got to line up with our mission, our values. It's got to be something that isn't just for a small group of folks. It's got to be a lot more public and active participation from the community. Definitely following those park rules and deadlines. And partnering, unfortunately, does not mean all fees can be waived. There is some trade-offs, but unfortunately, not everything's free. I wish it was. But yeah, just other things to consider while you're planning an event, application fees, deposits, those deadlines on those applications, they often have a requirement for X amount of time in advance. And at least in the past, DOT has had a rubric for the later you are, the more money it's going to cost you. So earlier, the better always. A site map is always super helpful, just how people are getting in and out of there. Are you going to need to shut down a road? Is it our road or is it DOT's road? Volunteer coordination, getting that staffing down, what they're doing, when they need to get there, and make sure that they stick around for cleanup. That's a big one. Sometimes you need liability insurance. So like if you have a moon bounce, it would probably be on the moon. It's going to be on the moon bounce company to get that. But if it's on our property, there's certain language that has to be in there. Rain plan is always good to have. Maybe that means it's just tents. Maybe that means that if you know it's going to rain the next day and that's when your event is, that you're putting out notifications the night before being like, hey, we're actually moving it into the building next to the original site. Safety, first aid, lost and found, thinking about accessibility for sure. There's a lot of things that I learned recently about accessibility and things that I was like, oh, well, this ground's flat enough, but nope, not wheelchair accessible. What else? Oh, sponsorship and your budget just overall. I mean, nothing hurts to ask if you can get some free sodas or whatnot for your event. And, you know, just marketing, if you're going to have any kind of ticket sales, merchandise, all that. So lots and lots of things to consider. Certainly, if we can't get through questions from me at this point in time, you're certainly welcome to email me and I can put my email in the chat box.
Alrighty. Thank you, Delaney. So if you want to share your presentation afterwards, I can circulate it if you want to do it that way to make sure people can actually receive the visuals as well.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that information though. And so that moving along, we're going to go to our capital team, who we have Adam Borman. He's here to share just about what's happening with the projects in the neighborhood. So we know we have some renovation of rec centers happening, and we want to just let you all know what's happening and what you can expect.
John, I'm going down.
All right, good evening. As Charnice mentioned, my title is the Chief of Capital Development. My name is Adam Borman. I'm a licensed landscape architect. I operate an office of roughly 20 people, architects, engineers, landscape architects, construction management personnel. And I am going to simply go down a list of questions that were submitted prior to this, and then I'm more than happy to answer any that I missed. So the first one I have on my list is what projects are coming to the Park Heights community and District 6. Many of you are aware of the Towanda Recreation Center that is currently being renovated. Things are progressing nicely. The space is opening up. You'll see a new lobby, a new entrance, improvements to the basically every room in the site. So we are on track right now, looking for a grand opening in June. The next question I had, or next project I should reference, is James G. Gross Recreation Center renovation. Of course, this is primarily focused on ADA accessibility, both to the exterior main entrance and on the interior, including the restrooms. Design is ongoing for that. Whether or not we need to meet with the community and kind of give you a refresher as to what else is involved with that project, we're more than happy to. So I'll get with Charnice on that. If we want to set that up in the next couple of weeks, we're happy to do that. But otherwise, we're plugging along with anticipating that we can bid that project this summer and be under construction sometime this fall. So that one's moving along well. CC Jackson, there's been kind of a long-term effort here looking at a master plan, expansion of the park, considering whether or not the library is a partner with us on that. We got through schematic design. We're ready to progress now into what we call design development and ultimately construction documents. We have a task with our consultants with that that's being processed. So we hope to kind of get that ball rolling again this spring. And of course, we will be coming back to the community probably in June to give an update on that, make sure we've met your comments and address all the needs and wants that we've received to this point. So more to come on that one. And then the last one I want to touch on is the Towanda pool. So last year we did an assessment of all 23 pools across the city. We did some scoring as to, you know, which ones need the most attention immediately. And no surprise there, Towanda needs some love as soon as possible. So Met with the consultants on site earlier this week. Design is ongoing there. If we can continue to progress on this pace, we hope to bid and do those renovations between the end of the swim 2021 season and the start of 22. So more to come on that. We'll be certainly come back to the community, get some input on that as well. But that one is something we're excited about. We will be systematically going throughout the city and bringing all the pools into the 21st century. Because honestly, some of them haven't been touched since the 60s and 70s. So more to come on that. The next question I got was, how do we get design ideas from community members? And to that point, we love to hear your input. We only have so many eyes and ears on the streets, so understanding what the desires are ahead of the CIP season would be great. Of course, you can work through Charnice and her team, but we also have the opportunity to input directly on our website. And if I could, I will try and share this, but I'm not allowed. Do I get permission for that, Charnice?
Yeah, I just made you a co-host. Adam, can you said CIP, can you share what CIP is, what that stands for?
Sure. So that's the Capital Improvement Program. Every fall, we put together a list of our funding requests. We make a presentation to the Planning Commission, and this time of year, they work with administration on making their requests and finalizing what that budget looks like. So here we are. Can everyone see this, Charnice? Okay.
Yes.
Here we are on the Recreation and Parks website. We're on the capital projects page. There's two places I want to take you here. One is the projects. And we update this monthly, but you can go through here and see a list of completed projects. Here's some that we're proud to have recently completed. A couple more that are a little older. But as you scroll down further, you get to what's under construction. You can keep tabs of what else we're doing around town. Of course, as I mentioned, Tawanda here, list the project manager. You're sort of more than welcome to reach out to him for more information. And then finally at the bottom, there's out for bid and in design. This is just a short list of some of the other projects that are going on. So then going back, this is where we can get direct input from you on our, apologies, FAQ page. If you go to the second question here, how can I request a project? There's a form you can fill out, and then a web an email address that you can submit it to. But essentially, our approach to the CIP is trying to be more transparent, certainly equitable, and your submissions and the information that we collect there helps us to make more data-driven decisions. So it's less the squeaky wheel gets greased. It's more, looking at the demographics, looking at the history of the park, looking at how this relates to other city initiatives in the area, so that we can make informed decisions and calculated movements with our capital improvements. So that was two of those. And where's my other page? I mentioned Tawanda's progressing nicely. I had a question about the skate park along Bentaloo. I believe this might be outside the district, but this is Easterwood Park. The skate park there is ongoing in design. We are looking into as a kind of separate but parallel project of building a new basketball court to replace the one that the skate park will inhabit. So that is in the current CIP request. We're hoping to understand in the next couple of months what money will be available there. but that project is progressing nicely. We've gotten some great community input, and I believe we will be going back again to show what we've come up with there. And so with that said, that looks like it from all the questions that were received relative to capital. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions you might have.
All right, and so that brings us to the Q&A or community discussion segment. So you've heard from each of our divisions and what we're, just from the team, what we're planning to do, what we'd like to do in your community. So now's the time for you to ask questions. And I just want to remind you, so we have Tony and Jenny who are monitoring the hand raise feature. So if you could just raise your hands, and then we are also, I'm sorry, Tony's monitoring the chat box. I apologize. Jenny and Lindsay are monitoring the hand raise feature.
It doesn't matter.
Got it. Okay. And so let's start, if you guys don't mind. We're gonna start with the hand raise, and then we'll answer the questions in the chat box because we have to kind of sift through them. Okay.
Councilman Middleton has her hand up first. Councilwoman?
Hello, hi, how are you all? Thanks for this long explanation and just sharing what your department is. And I'd like a copy of that list, I guess, of contacts that would kind of help with our office in directing, issues directly to certain people. I guess this question is for Adam. What do we need to do to secure that library on Woodland and Park Heights? I know that you guys did the feasibility study. I mean, Brecken Parks has been very involved, and the community, no doubt, wants that library on that corner. And I know that, and I know Yolanda Jiggets with the Park Heights Renaissance is also on this Zoom, and we've planned we have a committee now, and Deborah Wolford is also on here that's part of that committee and kind of leading that committee. But we're going head on, we're getting our fundraising piece together. The Pratt, all the pieces are on board. So I want to secure this place so we can start bringing in our other funders and just kind of keep this moving. This is, I'm speaking for the community, and this is what they want. They want it on, and it's been proven that it needs to be there. It will serve the residents all the way to like the Druid Hill Park area and kind of beyond, because the next library is over there on North Avenue. So I really want to work hard to put that, to secure that space, because again, this is what the community wants. So your comment on just how we can just, move forward with Brecken Parks to help with that.
Yeah, speaking on behalf of the agency, we're all about it. We want this to happen. Beyond the library, we're looking at how we share resources and spaces and collaborate with other agencies and other partners, and the idea of a library and a park being combined is phenomenal. My understanding was that it all came down to funding. So I will certainly go back and dig into that on my end. We as an agency will support and advocate however is needed.
Okay.
But let's make it happen, because that is a beautiful thing if you can get a book and then go read in the park.
Right.
We can get the state delegation involved, obviously, to help us with that. And
right.
And it should be the George Mitchell branch of the Enoch Pratt Free Library.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm on board for that 100%.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're Park Heights Renaissance has gotten a committee together and we're like on it, and we'll make sure we include, and there's a representative from Rec and Parks also on that committee. Appreciate that. And then just one last question, information, and we can send it out. So I'm excited about, I'm really excited about Tawanda. It's that whole part of Park Heights has just been so very patient. The school that's connected, that's nearby, everyone has just been patient and working hard and just waiting for that to happen so they can start helping and saving lives. So appreciate what Rec and Parks has been putting together to make sure that that's going to be a successful place. Is there anything that's going to happen at the Aquatic Center? I know there has been work done to that and so on. Nothing is needed new there as well, or any new programming happening there that you know of? The one on Oakley.
Is that Callow Hill?
Callow Hill.
Callow Hill, yeah. Anything is, so that's pretty much together and moving forward with whatever's happening in the community.
Well, Callow Hill was, I can speak to the capital side. So Callow Hill was part of our assessment. I'll have to look up where it fit on the list, but it is on the, it needs some upgrades as well. So we have, honestly, I think it's a 6 or 7 year approach to try and tackle all these pools, because 23 pools, some of them are $500,000, others are closer to 2. It's a heavy lift for us in our budget, but we are planning our attack there. And like I said, there was a scoring system developed, so we're trying to use the data to drive that. Perhaps one of my colleagues in recreation can speak to the programming over there better than I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I can jump in, Adam. Thank you. As far as programmatic wise, it is one of the spaces that is currently not open. It will reopen. It is a part of the reopening plan. At this time, I can't remember if it's in the phase 1 or phase 2 of the reopening, but it is a part of scheduled to be reopened and offering swimming lessons and all of the things that we were offering pre-COVID.
Okay.
I think
So
it's.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I responded to somebody the other day and I was told that it was in the second phase of opening.
I'm surprised that you guys didn't mention because the gym in the 6th district, of course, is Silburn Arboretum and all the the Vollmer Center and all the wonderful things that's going on there. So I just wanted people to know that that's still a wonderful place to visit and learn and do things, and you can rent out and a whole lot of things that if there's anything added that people should know about, you can do that as well.
Yeah, I'll add to that. If you haven't been on the new section of Jones Falls Trail, start at Silburn, go up the hill around Sinai and across the Northern Parkway Bridge. It's incredible. Like I said, that gets you into a new district, but it's a really nice section behind the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital. Is all boardwalk. You're basically like walking or riding through the trees. It's a beautiful thing.
Right. When with the we're still kind of in this pandemic, and those are some good options to keep yourself spaced and to be outside. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to some of the other people that have questions.
Okay, next
Thank you.
Has their hand up is Deborah. Deborah.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. It's been a while since I've seen you. How you been?
I'm well, thank you.
My question, and it's great stuff happening, and I've been around a very, very long time, so I've seen the growth and development. I thank you. But one of the things we have not talked about, and is a major barrier, is parking around C.C. Jackson. We got this fabulous field. We're trying to build a library there, but I don't hear the parking. I hear that from a lot. You can't pull a bus and let people off. So how can we make sure that in our design there is ample parking. Find some way of adding parking in that. That's a major problem with that field at CC Jackson. And now we're going to add a library. So just some food for thought, folks. You know, a lot of people drive, and, you know, when you got busloads of kids you want to bring up to participate in sports, it's not conducive to that. So that's just something I just want to bring to the table that I don't hear a lot about, is parking. You know, location is good, but you also got to have a location with parking. So that's just a comment.
That's a great comment and duly noted. So we will make sure to address that. And I hope you will join us when we reconvene on the master plan this summer. I will make a note. Our parks are zoned open space, and there was legislation put through a couple years ago that basically said anything more than 5 parking spaces in a park needs to go to get an ordinance through the council. So Councilwoman Middleton knows there's some of her colleagues over there are anti-cars and anti-parking, and
Well, that's
it has
just
been a
one.
challenge.
That's just one colleague.
Yeah.
But yes, it is an ordinance, and I'm ready to put it in anytime when you're ready.
All right. So I think that ties back into the library, because the original design was looking at how do we share parking, so it's just not. You know, we want to preserve as much green space as possible.
Right. But you want to invite people, make sure they feel welcome and invited. And if they can't park, that's not a good neighbor sign. That's not a good neighbor.
Yes.
So Ms. Deborah, I think Adam was being
Hey,
very
baby.
modest. I think he was being very modest. I think what he really wanted to say is, we're going to record this conversation, and we're going to call you when we get to that point.
You need my number? You need my number? I'm seeing my card.
I know it.
I'm sure you do. It hasn't changed. And neither have I. I'm much more professional, though.
So we don't have any more hands up.
Her and I grew up together, so that's what that's about.
Do we have any more, no more hand raised questions, but I think there are, Lindsay, I'm sorry, Tony, you're monitoring the chat, right? Any chat questions you want to?
Actually, no. Nope. There's none. Most of them have been answered.
Okay, awesome. So then if there are no more questions, I'll just go ahead and close it out. So I'm gonna gather all the notes from today. I've been taking some notes. I'm gonna get with my colleagues internally, get a little like some notes to share out with you all, and visuals that could not be shared today, as well as visuals that were shared, and send that to you all in a follow-up email. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Make sure, Lindsay, when they signed on, did they register? So I have their contact information. Okay, so if you want to email me so that I have your contact information, or call me, I'm going to put my information in the chat box, and I'm also going to share it for those of you on the phone. So my email is Sharnice, SHARNICE.Barnett, BARNETT @baltimorecity.gov. And my cell phone number is 443-248-0866. So just make sure that you share your information with me so that I can keep you in a loop for anything that's happening in the district, and we can communicate if you have anything that comes up between now and then, and we can set up any follow-up meetings as needed. I do see a couple of follow-ups coming from what Adam said. So I know over the summer, there'll be some master planning. I know we're gonna talk about the parking plan for CC Jackson, and some other things, the library. So some planning, some follow-up plans regarding CC Jackson, the pool, and some other things. So I'll send that all out to you all. And I just want to thank you for taking your time to join us tonight. And we all look forward to working with you going forward. You'll get the Prince Group information to Ms. Deborah and others. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.